Welcome to the Not Superheroes Gets Dads podcast. No, we can't fly. No, we can't shoot lasers or pick up giant buildings. But what we can do is help set the foundations for our families, be present for our kids, and combat generational cycles. On this podcast, we dive into everything dad related, from the struggles we deal with as fathers to what our favorite thing to barbecue is. Hello, I'm Sean Laurie. Hope you guys are having an amazing day. Man, this week has been hectic for me. I'm sure many of you guys can relate, especially right with the holiday season just around the corner. So it's been hectic, right? It's been definitely hectic, but something that I wanted to talk about, today is something a lot of dads, I feel like, we don't really talk about. And with the holiday season, honestly, right, it's already here, right? But with the Christmas already just like 8 days away or something like that, I wanted to talk about something that I feel like we don't really talk about, and that's fatherhood and friendship, right? And just how like the dynamic of that changes, right? It changes so much when you start having a family and things like that, because of the fact, right, we have more responsibilities. But with more responsibility, a lot of times comes less connection. And so I just wanted to have a real conversation about that, because, becoming a father adds purpose, which is a beautiful thing, right? Again, becoming a father adds purpose, but it can quietly take away your circle, right? It can quietly just, have your circle shrink, and there's times that as men, as fathers, we don't talk about it, but, the silence, right, that we're constantly around, in a sense of just, being lonely, right? Being lonely as far as, especially for, I know some fathers that's single, right? And when they don't have their kids for the weekend or the week, they're by themselves, right? They're by themselves, just, feeling lonely. Now with that, feeling a little bit lonely doesn't mean, you're ungrateful to be a father and to have those moments, right? And even if you're not a single dad, because I've been in those spaces where I'm just constantly feeling like a robot, in a sense, right? Taking care of stuff at the job, taking care of the stuff at home, make sure the kids are good, but it's like the same thing over and over, And again, it doesn't, when we're doing that, right, it doesn't mean like we're failing as a man or anything like that. It's just something that I feel that, we really do value friendship, right? Because I look at like how my friendship has changed, right, compared to now. So when I was younger, my friends, man, I would do anything for my friends, right? If you rock with me, I'm always forever rock with you. I'm still that way now, but it's not to the same level as it was when I was younger, right? So when I was younger, if I was dating someone or something like that, like, they had to understand, like, my friends came, depend on the friends, but some of my friends came in front of the girl I was dealing with, right? I wanted to always make sure, like, I looked out for them, making sure they was good, taken care of, right? And now it's changed, right? Now it's changed. Now it's like, hey, no, my wife comes first, right? My kids come first. I remember I had a fallout with one of my friends before because he didn't understand that, right? And to this day, he's still my guy, no hard feelings, but I remember just being frustrated because it was one of those things. He was used to me taking care of certain things for him, like looking out for him. And I was in the space of, hey, I can't no more, right? Like, at the time, I only had 2 kids. So I'm like, I have these 2 kids that need me, right? And especially my son at the time, he was really small. So I'm like, I can't do certain things. I can't go out like I used to, right? And that was kind of difficult for him to understand, but that's just how it is, right? As you guys know, as fathers, like, that's just how it is, where the priorities are now going to come first before having fun, before, just hanging out, playing the game, going to the club or going to the bar, hanging out, things like that. I had to change my priorities. But that's something too, like, I think when we're younger, we don't realize, I've talked about this before, but we don't appreciate the time, right? And when we do have a family, time becomes so precious. and we have so limited resources, so limited time. Because at least for me, I can speak for me, I'm trying to fit in family. I'm trying to make sure, actually, scratch that. I'm trying to make sure I prioritize, for me, my faith with God, my family, and then, the podcast, then the nonprofit, make it, actually, I even didn't even do the order right, but also making sure my family in California is good, checking on them, making sure they're good, right? And handling all those different situations. And of course, I do want to implement some of my friends as well, but it gets difficult at times, because especially if you have friends that's known you for a long time, it's hard for them to understand the new boundaries. It's hard for them to understand where things are changing. And I can speak for myself, because I remember one of my good friends, this is before he was married. He's married now, but I remember he was dating and stuff like that. And I was young. I was like, I don't know, 20 or something like that. I felt some type of way, like, man, you putting this chick in front of, your homie, like, I've been here, I've been rocking with you, things like that. And I had to understand, like, hey, not everyone's going to operate like that, right? That's number one. Number two, let me backtrack, because I understood when it came to marriage, I understood that, like, I wasn't trying. It wasn't one of those things. I wasn't one of those friends like, hey, you get married. Hey, what about me? You're not gonna hang out with the homie, this and this. But I was the type of friend where, if you weren't married, right, like, hey, man, we can still hang out, we can still chill, things like that. Especially if I felt like, hey, man, I don't know if this girl is the best fit for you, right? I would try to look out for them, and I used to get my own feelings. Like, I was very immature in that thinking and understanding, and didn't realize, like, it has nothing to do with me. This is the boundaries that they're having. Even if the relationship only lasted 3 weeks, 6 years, whatever the case is, if the boundary is, hey, when I'm with my lady, regardless if they're married or not, I have to respect that, right? Now, fast forward, I'm in that position, but I'm married and things like that. So for me, it's like, hey, these are the boundaries. You need to respect it. And if not, that's fine too. But just know you're not going to get my time. Because that's another thing, is just understanding that not everyone is going to be in the same life stage as you. So I still do have friends that's single, going out, things like that. They don't have kids. Then I do have, friends that have kids, but they're not married, and they only have their kids every other weekend. I have friends that, have kids, but they have their own drama, so they don't even see their kids like that. So everyone has different stages, and it's so key for us to understand that and not take it to heart, not be offended by it, and just know, okay, what, they don't understand right now, but maybe they will, and be okay with that. It's not always betrayal. It's just transition. Because at times we could feel betrayed. We could feel like, wait, hold on. Why don't you understand that I got this going on, right? Or, what? Or like I said, reverse it for me, where I couldn't understand at the time, my friend, when he was with someone, I couldn't understand, hey, wait, things are changing. Like, hold on. In high school, since middle school, we've been rocking. High school, we've been rocking. Summer college, we've been rocking. Hold on now. Now things is changing. I don't like this. And so, and unfortunately, there's some people that still struggle with that. But I just wanted to share with you guys, it's not betrayal. It's not like, hey, they just don't like hanging out with you, or, you get on their nerves, or whatever the case is. It's just more so, this is a new stage in their life, and you have to respect that. Different seasons don't mean bad people, right? Different seasons don't mean that they're bad people. You just have to understand, okay, the season they're in right now, their kids are small. They can't go out and come over and watch the game with me like that. That's not how their dynamic is. Maybe when the season's different, hey, their kids are now teenagers, preteens. They're doing their own thing. Now they do have more time. Or I've seen it where, I try to hang out with people before, but it didn't work, because I was thinking they understood, but they had one kid. I actually saw like a funny meme before. It's like, you don't really feel having kids until you have two kids. Because from my experience, I'm sure it's not like that for everyone, but a lot of times people with one kid, they're able to move a little easier, right? It's easier for them to find a babysitter, or if their kid's old enough, hey, lock the door, make sure you're good, call us if you need anything. They don't have to worry necessarily as much, right, compared to someone that has, 4 or 5 kids. Shoot, I have 4 kids. Well, it's like I have 5 now because, just got a new addition with the dog. So it's like, and he's small. So it's like having 5 kids. But, just understanding and not taking it personal, not thinking that, hey, they hate me or something like that. Excuse me. But just understanding. And sometimes it's seasonal relationships. You have to understand that too. Maybe at that time, you was in a stage, you guys were friends from middle school to high school, but in college they changed. Or, once you had a family, the dynamic changed. And it isn't always, don't look at it like always a loss. Just look at it like, hey, at that moment, we both was able, in that season in our life, we both was able to communicate and get what we needed from each other as far as supporting each other, things like that. But now, whatever stage you're in, you might not need that, or they might not need that, and being okay with that. Now, again, it's difficult because of the fact that, I know for me, I would, for a long time, I would keep people in certain places because of history, instead of understanding that, no, it's not about history, it's what's happening now, right? It's not about, man, I always... I don't know. I always used to take care of everything for so-and-so. Now they don't need me anymore to do it. And that's okay. You help them to get on their feet, whatever, when they were, maybe in high school, college, a little bit here and there. But now they're more responsible. Now they have a family that they got to take care of, and vice versa. Growth also creates distance at times, even with people you love, right? So don't think of it as like you're purposely, because sometimes I've had that too, where people have thought I purposely have distanced myself, when that's not the case. It's more so just the growth that has taken place, right? The growth that's taken place from it. And that is why, the distance has started separate, because I'm at different, where, again, like I said earlier, a lot of us are in different stages of our life. So it's unfair for us to think, what, that's not, that, why aren't you here where I'm at? Why aren't you meeting me here? Like, that's an unrealistic thing to have, And for me, being a believer, God sometimes removes those relationships to help us, focus, right? To prepare us for the next level. Now, again, that doesn't mean it's easy to lose certain people that you were close to. I can only imagine for example, my wife, she's known her friends since like middle school. Like, it's a tight knit group. Like, I don't know, it's like 10 of them or something like that, right? But do they all talk regularly? No, because at the end of the day, they're all in different stages of their life, right? And understanding that and being okay with that. Now, with that being said, though, because I don't want people thinking I'm saying this like, oh yeah, you know what? That's right. I should constantly distance myself. I don't need nobody. No, I'm just saying your circle shrinks, because most men, most fathers, I believe, want some type of connection, right? But we're just not going to initiate it, right? We're going to find the people, or hopefully find the people that is in similar stages in their lives just like us. But just being mindful of what isolation, when we're constantly just trying to be in super robot dad mode, I guess, isolation can hide things, right? Like, it is, or I should say, we use isolation to hide things, right? We're busy. I don't know, you could say someone asks you something, you're just like, oh, I'm good, I'll catch you later, right? Just little cliche things that we really don't meet, and it's because we're not trying to let no one in. We're stuck in, hey, the people we're going to let in, like I mentioned earlier, is from people that we have history with. Even though they might not be on the same page as us, they might not even be understanding to where we're at as a father, as a man. They could even be trying to, you're taking a couple steps forward, they're trying to have you go a couple steps back. And instead of, letting someone else in that maybe we didn't grow up with, right? Maybe we met at the job and, it's kind of cool, and we didn't know, like, man, this dude is, he's actually a dope guy. Like, I can maybe just hang out with him, see what he's about. Instead, we have this bubble, we have this wall. We're like, nah, like I'm not going to. And that person really just says, hey, come through, and you're like, okay, I guess I'll check it out. But think it's just so important because brotherhood for us, if you have the right people in your circle, brotherhood looks like accountability. It looks like honesty, being able to say, I'm not okay. Think about that. How many of us as fathers, as men, have people we can hit up and really get, their honest opinion, and they're really going to hear what we have to say if we say, hey, no, I'm not okay. Instead of just giving a text, oh, I'm good, I'm fine. Oh, yeah, I'll hit you up later, man, I'm just busy. What if we really reached out like, man, I'm not good. I'm not okay. And this is why I created this space as well, because I want it to be a normal thing for us as men, as fathers, to be able to text each other or call each other and say, yeah, this sucks right now. This is what I'm going through. Because you never know. The people that you actually let in might be the ones that's like, hey, you know what? I have these resources that can help you over here. Hey, you know what? You're trying to find, you're looking for work. I actually know someone that can get you into this job over here. Or, you can't find a sitter. Hey, I know, just different resources that can help. Isolation is quiet, but it's also heavy, right? Very, very heavy. And it's something that we will take on and we'll say nothing about, because as men, we want to be the providers. We want to protect. We want to lead, just right, check the boxes, right? The things that we constantly try to make sure we take care of all the time. We don't want to feel like a burden. As men, that's one of the worst things like for me. I know that I'm very stubborn. I could be on my last dollar. I'm not asking anyone for money, right? I don't want to be a burden for no one. I want to make sure that my family looks at me and knows that I'm strong, But with that being said, that doesn't mean we can't have those friends, those close friends, where we can hit up and be like, man, this holiday season sucks. I ain't gonna lie to you, like, I don't even have the money to buy Christmas gifts like I want to, or whatever the case is. Just be to have those real conversations. But as men, we definitely don't want to be a burden to our family for sure, or to others. That's one of the things we definitely want to try to figure it out ourselves. At least I can speak for me, always trying to make sure I'm showing up strong. And the great thing for me is with my faith, I'm able to lean onto God, because God never designed men to walk alone, though. Like, that's the thing. Like, literally in the Bible, it's meant for man not to be alone. So, if that's, again, your close friends that you really can trust, or your spouse that you really have, because that actually helps you become stronger. That actually makes you a better leader. And when you're able to have a strong circle like that, that's going to only elevate you even more, And so I just think, I want to challenge anyone that may be dealing with, especially with the holiday season, like I said, just maybe you might even be with your family, but you just like, damn, I'm kind of isolated. I don't have no one I can just talk to and chop it up, Just start being more intentional with your relationships. Like, again, if that one coworker seems like a cool person, or that one person at your church or your neighbor, hey, give him a chance, maybe hang out with him, see what he's about. Oh, okay, cool. He can maybe relate to some of the things you're dealing with. I know for me, I love speaking with men that are older than me, just because the wisdom and the things they've been through. I'm always trying to be a sponge. So I'm the type of person that I am going to go just talk to someone random. Like I did that the other day. Went to this dude. He was with his kids. And I just went up to him and said, "You're doing an amazing job. Like, I don't know what you're going through, man, but you're doing an amazing job." And he looked at me, he smiled, he said, "Man, you don't know how much I need to hear that. Like, I appreciate that so much." Right? And now I'm not following my own advice, right? Because in that moment I could have connected with him more. But in that moment I was intentional, at least reaching out, and saying those things. And I feel like as men, as fathers, we don't do that enough. We don't just stop and be like, "Hey man, you're doing an amazing job. Keep up the hard work." Because as a man, as fathers, we know how difficult it is. We know, we're dealing with stuff with our kids. Our kids aren't listening, or if you have preteens, teens, daughters that they're dating, sons that they're dating, hanging out with the wrong people, right? If your spouse is, your lady's just driving you crazy one day or whatever the case is, right? Just different things like that, And so for me, I try to be conscious of that. I try to make sure that I do reach out, even if it's something where I know, what, the chemistry, I ain't really vibing with this person like that. But I'm still going to reach out to them. I'm still going to try to make sure, they know that I'm available, because I never know what the next man is going through. And also for me, I realized too, like, I can't be in a place where I'm trying to take everyone with me and get upset because they're not with me. I have to understand, again, that everyone is in different stages in their life. So, but for those, I'm sorry, I want to say, for those that can relate to this, that are listening, and kind of is isolated, like their circle is small. I can speak for myself again, where I moved out here, didn't know anybody. Literally, the interaction I get the most with different men and fathers is me coaching. I met amazing fathers because of that, right? Like, I met so many amazing fathers because I'm able to see them coaching. And it's been dope to see, just to see so many fathers pop up, and show up, because I know growing up, I didn't always see all those fathers present, especially for sports like that. So it's just dope. But I wanted to say, those that's listening that can relate, you're not weak, you're not forgotten, you're not alone, even if it feels that way at times, right? Even if it feels that way, I want to challenge you, whoever's listening, just, text one of your homies this week, be honest with them, right? Because a lot of times the ones that you are close with, they actually want to be there for you. They want to help you out, or they just want to just be that extra ear to vent, but you haven't let them in. You haven't let them in. And if you don't have that circle anymore, because they're not in the same stage as you, they're not lined up with you, they're not even the person that you're the one that, they're the one that hits you up, right, for different things, then I would say, be open to meeting new people. I tell people all the time, people don't always take me on it, but I tell people all the time, hey, if anything ever happens, if you're ever going through something and the people you trust aren't calling, aren't answering, don't even want to hear what you have to say, hey, hit me up. I'll gladly be the person that'll hear you vent. I don't even have to say anything, just listen to you, because sometimes as men, we just want to be at the vent. We just want to be able to let it out, and not be judged by it, not feel insecure by it, not feel weak because of it, because those are things that we tell ourselves that's not true. So, fatherhood was never meant for us to be isolated. So I want to encourage you guys that during this holiday season, just remember that, like, it's a brotherhood. All of us as fathers are trying our best. There is no game plan for this. And if you're able to connect with other fathers, you can see how they do certain things, and you can either take some of it, you can tweak some of it, or you could do none of it and just be like, man, that's not something I want to do. And that's okay, right? But as strong men, we need brothers. Not just responsibilities. We're going to always have those responsibilities. That's just what comes with it. But we need brothers that's really for us, And so that's something I just wanted to encourage you guys with, and understand that this season that you're not alone. And just remember that, man. And so with that being said, before I go off, right, make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, tell a friend. You guys know this by now, man. I appreciate the support so much. You guys just don't understand, like, the random messages I get. I promise y'all goes a long way, because there's times when I'm feeling isolated. There's times when I don't feel like, showing up or reaching out, right? But I try to make sure I'm intentional with everything, and that's including with this podcast. So again, you don't have to be perfect, but you always have to be present. See you guys on the next one.